Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime. And I just wanted to say that I hope you all had a wonderful Halloween and that you probably are detoxing. Um, I've got my own story around that one, but we'll work on that one in a little bit later. For those of you who may be new to the broadcast, welcome. We do 3 broadcasts a week, and so if you want to be kept informed on when we're doing them, a couple of things to do. Number one is to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and also the little bell there, because if you hit the bell, then it'll advise you every time we're about to go live. But we do 3 broadcasts a week, one on a Friday lunchtime, which is our skills broadcast, and one on a Friday evening, which is our laughter broadcast, and then one on a Sunday afternoon, which is our Soul Sunday. It's like a meditation or just calm it right down and just really change the pace completely. I apologize yet again for broadcasting from my bedroom, but I've got, as some of you know, I've got some internet issues with my loaner computer. So we'll be back in the living room, or in the dining room rather, as soon as my own computer comes back. And that could be a while yet. So it's in ICU at the moment. So today we're talking about energy and how to maintain your personal energy and to, if you like, keep calm while everything around you is going insane. I think it would be fair to say that yesterday was a pretty good example of that. You're going to hear me talk to Jody because Jody is our admin, and thank you, Jody, for all that you do to support us. Um, but Jody and I talk quite a bit during the day. Hi there, Marie. We talk quite a bit during the day, and so yesterday she was there with me the whole day as my day unfolded in the way that it did. And let me just tell you that normally on a Thursday I'm fairly busy because I'm preparing for 2 broadcasts on Friday. And then I decided also that I would do update a video, which I hope some of you have seen, um, because I really was in the mood for doing that. And then, if that wasn't enough, I had a showing. So that meant that I had to have the house totally tidy and clean by 11 o'clock so they could show it at 11:30. Now, some of you who have been following my journey in terms of the selling of my house probably are aware that yesterday was a pivotal day for me because the offer that I had on my house was due to collapse at midnight last night. So that sort of added a little bit of stress. How many of you getting the idea that it was a pretty stressful sort of day? And so what I wanted to do is to let you know, what I was doing about it, and then what happened at the end of all of that. And so the interesting thing was that I did the things that I normally do. And I thought I would let you know what I normally do, other than the fact I wake up in the morning and I grab a cup of coffee and do obviously all the bathroom things. But the next thing that I do is normally check in with Jody because she is my blood sugar um, report manager, if you like. I report to her every day what I'm doing with my blood sugar, where it's peaking at, and also my sleep, because I wanted to become accountable for the hours of sleep that I had. So I seem to remember, I'm just going to check. I seem to remember that I didn't have much sleep the night before this. No? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me see here. Come on. I had 5 hours sleep the night before. Hi, Kerry, and happy birthday for yesterday. So anyway, I'd had about 5 hours sleep to start my day. So I checked in with Jody with my blood sugar and my sleep pattern, and everything was fine. And then I just decided I was going to take it as easily as I could. Now, one of the things I do, and I don't know about you guys, but do any of you start your day with a mantra of some sort. Now, some of you may pray and some of you may do other things, but I have two things that I do every morning, just so that you know, and I think it really does help my peace of mind. And if I could find it on here, it would help. First thing that I do, just bear with me. First thing that I do is I have a meditation for the day. I subscribe to something called A Course in Miracles. Hi, Jamie. Good to see you. And so that helps me sort of just get grounded. And then the second thing that I do, which is really important to me, and I will find it for you. Oops. Is that I have this mantra. And I had this all set up beautifully. But of course, it's the way. Okay, here we go. So here's what I say every morning, and it comes up on I have a sort of reminder system, and it starts off with all is unfolding as it should. That comes from Desiderata. If any of you have heard me quote Desiderata, it's you are a child of the universe. And one of the things that it says is that, don't worry about the world because everything is going exactly the way as it should. All is unfolding as it should. So that is how I start. And then I do not need to fear. You see, one of the things I discovered this year that is really interesting is if you take away the fear and just deal with the facts, it's amazing how different that feels. So that's the next thing. I do not need to fear. And how do you make sure you don't be fearful is you have done the checks and balances you need to do so you know what plan B is and plan C and plan D. Does that make sense? All right, Jody's saying, I say a prayer of gratitude that I woke up and I set a positive attitude. Hang on a second. A positive attitude and intention for the day. Spending a few moments in quiet reflection. Good. Jamie's saying she meditates on Psalm 91. Okay, let me find Psalm 91 so people can know what that is. This is the prayer card for Psalm 91 coming up. If I can find it. Oh, it is the soldier's psalm. I didn't know that. We are told that in World War I, there was a brigade that cited Psalm 91 daily. As word got out, they were nicknamed the 91st Brigade by other soldiers. This brigade engaged in 3 of the world's bloodiest battles. I got goosebumps. Their units suffered up to 90% casualties, but the 91st Brigade did not suffer a single combat-related death. There are more recent stories of soldiers using Psalm 91 that we're unable to share for security reasons. God is willing and able to keep his words of covenant promise. Plead God's Psalm 91 shield daily. Confidently claim his rest, refuge, safety, covering, faithfulness, freedom from fear, and watches, deliverance, and protection. It is the Psalm of war. Well, that's great, but where's the psalm, buddy? Hang on one second. Here we go. All right, are you ready? Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust him. For he will rescue you from every trap and protect you from every deadly disease. He will cover you with his feathers. He will shelter you with his wings. His faithful promise are your armor and protection. Do not be afraid of the terrors of the night, nor the arrow that flies in the day. Do not dread the disease that stalks in the darkness, nor the disaster that strikes in the midday. Though 1,000 fall at your side, though 10,000 are dying around you, these evils will not touch you. Just open your eyes and see how the wicked are punished. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Most High your shelter, no evil will conquer you. No plague will come near your home, for he will order his angels to protect you wherever you go. They will hold you up in their hands so that you won't even hurt your foot on a stone. You will trample upon the lions and the cobras, and you will crush fierce lions and serpents under your feet. The Lord says, I will rescue those who love me. I will protect those who trust in my name, and when they call on me, I will answer. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue and honor them. I will reward them with long life and give them my salvation. Thank you, Jamie. That is awesome. And Jody, we'll put up a link on the resource page for that, I think. All right, so that was triggered by the fact that every morning I say to myself, all is unfolding as it should. I do not need to fear. One step at a time. How many of you know that's how I live my life? I'm not worried about the 55 steps that follow. What one step can I take in this direction today, or this hour, or this minute? I'm constantly looking, what is the next step? And the other thing that that I do is I say to myself, I can do this in serenity. And I am working on what I can. In other words, I'm not worrying about what the realtors are doing, because that's the realtor's job. My job is to get my house ready to show and to give it lots of positive energy, so that it will sell. Now, you might wonder, if I already had a deal on my house, why was I still showing it? Well, I had a clause in my original contract, for which I thank my realtors, which said that if I got a better offer, I could, give the other people, I think it was 24 hours notice to match it, or walk away from the deal. So here I was, busy. Right, I left the house for the showing. Now I multitask. So I went shopping, and whilst I was on my way shopping, I put down a vlog on the way there. I did the shopping and put down another vlog on the way back. Now I consider that to be pretty good multitasking, because by the time I got back, to my surprise, the looky-loos of my house was still there. Now, that's very unusual. They normally go in and out within 20 minutes. This was 40 minutes later, and they were still there. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, so I sort of parked near my house, but, basically at my next door neighbor's house, rather than disturb them. And then they actually came very close to my car, and by then my realtor was busy talking to me, so they knew they were pretty quick people. They understood that I was probably the owner. So what I did was I looked at them and I said, "It's a beautiful house, and I've lived here for 20 years, and I have no real wish to leave it, but I need to. My body just can't cope with it all anymore." And that was what I said, with a big beaming smile. And I could see that they were really into the house, all right, in a big way. Anyway, so um, then I had the realtor with me, so he helped me with the groceries. That was very good. And got upstairs, and he said they really like it, and they may well be putting in an offer. So I said, okay. But you see, I didn't have to worry anymore about it, right? Because I can't control any of that. They either are going to put in an offer or they're not. And it's beyond, I can't control that. I've learned that lesson now. And so I got on with what I could do, which was I started to prepare for today's broadcast, and then, and decide what I wanted to do tonight, and then again on Sunday, which I could do. And then I was busy eating well, because that I could control. And so my life sort of went on in a fairly peaceful way, considering what was going on, with the house stuff. Then at about 6 o'clock last night, I heard that there was an offer coming in on my house. And that was like, okay, now that means that I have to be ready. All right. I can't go out and do something or whatever. I have to be ready for that offer to come in, because I'm going to need to read it and make a decision on it in a matter of hours. Right? Do you all understand that? So how do you think my energy was up until that point? As you can probably hear, I was in a pretty zen place. And then I heard, okay, there's an offer coming in. Now that starts to put the heart rate up. And as you know, I concentrate on checking my resting heart rate a great deal. That's my benchmark. How am I doing on my resting heart rate? And just so you know, right now it's 67, which is pretty good for my age. So anyway, I did that, heard that there was an offer coming in, and got the heads up on, okay, fine, I need to be ready. I'm just trying to find my quotes again now. Oh. And anyway, so then, sorry, I've lost the quotes that I want to do for today. Okay, there we go. So then the offer came in, and it was a lowball offer. It was from the people that had seen the house twice, had come back a second time on Saturday. Now, the interesting thing is I've now got enough experience of this game to know that, okay, fine, they came in with this offer. All right, let me try and show you guys this, because in case you ever get into a negotiation. Okay, I'm going to call, this is Sal, and this is them, whoever them is, all right? Now, they came in with a very low offer. And this is my asking price up here, all right? Now, here's what I found out. And it's a really interesting thing, if you can understand this, all right? Somewhere between those two is where they're probably happy negotiating to. In other words, don't take this figure too personally, even though it was really a lowball offer. Why? What I've learned to do is this. I take my asking price and I take away their price, and that gives me something in the middle. Now I know, right? Do you understand that somewhere in the middle of those is where we're probably going to end up? I wonder if that makes sense to everybody. So let's put numbers around it just so that it makes more sense. Okay, let's do that. So my voice in the heads. Let's say that I've asked for $10 for my house. Don't you wish? And they gave me a lowball offer, let's say for 5. Don't let's go 5, because that would be unrealistic. Okay, let's say that they lowballed it at 6. All right. So the difference between the two would be 4. Do you agree? 10 minus 6 would be 4. Halfway would be they need to come up 2 and I need to drop 2. So if I come down 2, we're talking at 8. If they come up 2, they're talking 8. Does that make sense? So what I did was I heard their offer, and I started to do the math to make sure I knew what the negotiation was going to be. And I was busy doing that, as Jody will tell you, quite calmly, because now I know how it all works. I've got experience, and was just about to counter offer when the realtor got back to me and said, we've heard nothing from the original buyers. I had the deal. Oh, no, the original buyers wanted me to extend their contract. All right, that was due to end at midnight last night. And so now I'm going, okay, fine, I've got to do this deal. Plus, I've got to decide whether or not to extend this contract just in case, plan B. And then out of nowhere, what was it, about 7:30, I get an email and it said there's another offer coming in. All right, people, what did I do with the? Oh, there it is. It said there's another offer coming in. So remember what we've got here. We've got Sal. Let's put Sal here. So A had offered, let's say, what did I say, 6, and Sal was asking for 10. Well, so suddenly we've got another another offer coming in, and that offer was 10. It was exactly what I was asking for my house. The only problem was I had about 2 hours to decide whether I was going to take it. Now, again, you're all going, why wouldn't you take it, Sal? Well, I needed to stay calm because the first thing I need to do is to check the documentation. Okay. What are their conditions? Does it say that I have to rebuild the house or, do X, Y? So before you accept it, you've got to read what their offer is. So I needed to stay very zen. And Jody was telling me she was amazed how calm I was remaining. But I knew I needed to stay calm because I had the most important document of my life to read. And the funny thing was, it came in, and the first thing I noticed, because the first thing I go to are the conditions, and I went there and it said, the subjects it's called, and they didn't want to sell a house. Now, that's unusual. Most people say on the condition that I sell my house, da 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 da. There was none of that in there. And I went, they want to offer me full price and they don't have a house to sell? This is beginning to look very, very good. Now, the other thing is part of me wanted to get excited then. And I'm going, no, stay calm. You haven't read all of them yet. Anyway, so there was nothing in the conditions that was particularly unusual. The usual thing, subject to an inspector coming through, that's normal. Subject to getting financing, well, that can be the bugaboo. That's what nuked my very first offer that I had on my house. They just didn't get the financing. A second offer didn't get the financing, and so now this third offer got the financing, but it was something else again. So I just went, okay, fine. I just need to stay very calm. So then I spoke with the realtor. Actually, we were emailing each other, and he said, I just want to double check all the clauses as well for you. And I said, thank you. And I said, because that's what I'm doing. And then he came back to me and he basically gave me the bottom line. This is the offer. These are the without all the verbiage, these are the conditions, just the facts. And do you want to take the deal? And I'm going, yeah, and I talked to him on the phone and I said, okay, a couple of questions. I had a couple of questions. And then I said, I have a third question. And he said, what's that, Sal? Oh, my first question was, are you doing another deal tonight? And he said, what? I said, I want to know whether you're doing any other deals tonight, because how much of your time I take will be dependent on whether I am your only deal that you're processing. Now, I don't know if any of you understand that of me. If he's already juggling 4 other deals and they've all got to be done by midnight, I need to be a little bit careful of his time. So and he just burst out laughing and said, only you, Sal, would start with that question when we're dealing with this much money. And he just laughed at me. He said, you really are quite incredible. I said, well, I just want to make sure. He said, no, you're the only deal going down tonight. And I said, okay, good. So then I said, all right, this is what I've read. What am I missing? What is there anything that you can see that could be a problem? Sorry, I got allergies. Knowing the house and knowing me and knowing what's in the contract, is there anything that I might have missed that you think is important for me to be aware of? And basically, we talked about everything that he thought, and I went, okay, fine, I'm still feeling good. So let's take the deal. And we did. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is I want you to see something about your life. Okay. Okay. So let's say, and I want to use this as an example, and that's why I wanted to tell the story so that you, thank you, Jody, so that you can understand. If I wake up in the morning and I start with a positive meditation, does my positive energy, increase or decrease? That's what I want you to think about. If I start each day with all is unfolding as it should, you have no reason to fear. Do you think that sort of keeps me in a good place? And let's say that this is where I want to be. Not, I know life's not that easy. But do I start off being motivated or demotivated if I start that way? Let's put it that way. You see, for me, as soon as I say to myself, all is unfolding as it should, I go, oh, that's good. And I have no reason to fear. That's good. Now, we know that the reason I have nothing to fear is because I have a plan B, C, and D. You all know that about me. All right. So, but underneath here, is the stuff that you all know was happening. The deal was about to collapse. The deal I had, we'll call that number one deal, was about to collapse at the end of the day. So most people would have been frantic. Right? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I was just, no, I don't have to worry because all is unfolding as it should. I really have to tell you, I was in that space. you know, it was beyond my control. It's like God knows what I need, and I'm just going to let Him organize it. I really have to tell you, that's where I was at. And so I carried on my day. And then, yeah, I was sort of going through my day and going, oh, by the way, I was really pleased when I was doing shopping. But if you've watched the video part 2, you will find out that some things got up my nose a bit when I was shopping. So that brought me down a bit. And then suddenly the offer thing came. Now, that really was like, okay, fine. And let me just understand this. My energy, do you think that when I heard there was an offer coming through, do you think my energy increased or decreased? My internal energy, my positive momentum, if you like. Because what happens is that is the bit I hate. The negotiation part of it. I really don't like that because the last time it became very petty and very nickel and dimey. And so when I heard I had an offer coming in, part of me, the energy increased, but part of me decreased. Does that make sense? It's like, oh, I got to play this stupid game again. And that's how it felt. And then I reminded myself, but the stupid game will help you sell your house. So just get ready to get in the right mood to do a deal and expect there to be nickel and diming and expect there to be negotiation. So I ended up actually being on quite a nice little place here. I didn't get too phased, as Jody knows. And then the offer came in and it was lowball. Very lowball. Now, I don't mind telling you, my heart sank a little bit there. I'm running out of space, aren't I? Okay, hang on. We'll just change this a little bit. So this went up and it's coming down. And then, anyway, so my heart sank a little bit when I heard what their offer was. And then I remembered, no, that's not the final offer. That's where they're starting with. Do the math, see where we're going to end up roughly. And then I felt better again, and that was fine. And I was all ready to start doing that when suddenly I hear that there's another offer coming in. And I quite honestly was a little ho-hum. Having got this offer, I'm going, oh, I wonder what this one's going to be. So I didn't get too excited about it. Can you imagine that? My energy sort of stayed the same. And then Then I saw the offer. And my first thing I did was, I want to tell you, my energy went like this. Like, that's what I asked for. Now, I don't know if any of you relate to this, but it was like, did I read that right? It's like, did I read that right? So I went back and I read the written words, in case there'd been a typo. Because whenever you have a big deal like this, it'll say so many hundreds of thousands, and then it'll have in brackets the same amount but written in words rather than figures in case there's been a typo. And the words match the figures, and I'm going, now my energy is high. This is like, and then I'm going, calm down, because you need to be calm to read the document. So what I wanted to ask you is, can you feel that I actually set the whole day up ready to have the power, the internal energy to be able to deal with all this? By the way, Jody, at what time did I hit the chocolate? I have to tell you, my body wasn't as calm as my mind. Now, do any of you relate to that? My body started to crave carbs and sugar, and because luckily not cigarettes. So I think it was about 8 o'clock that I actually I actually went downstairs and got myself 4 mini Snicker bars. And luckily, I met Yvonne on the way, and I said, "Please raid the fridge because the sooner they're gone, the sooner I don't have to worry about them anymore. But leave me the Snicker bars, because I got a whole box of stuff in." Anyway, so I went down and I got 4 Snicker bars. But that wasn't doing it for me. I needed the rest of the box, and I'm going, no, I'm not going down for the rest of the box. So then I thought, what can I have that is sweet, but not necessarily totally bad? And what I did is I went and got caramel corn, which I know isn't healthy, but the I find that actually satisfies a lot of cravings. And I mixed it in with regular popcorn. Yeah, right. So it's like every third or fourth bit, I got a caramel corn rather than just anyway. But I nearly finished. I finished the bag of caramel corn. Um, and I forgave myself because this is high stress stuff. And if that's what you need to keep sane, then so be it. And I knew I would pay the price. I want to tell you, my blood sugar, um, doubled. Did it double? No, no, no. It doubled on the previous binge that I had. So the whole point that I'm trying to make here is, can you see that yes, Jody's saying I also made great food choices up until about 6 o'clock. All right. Um, and even then, as Jody's saying now, even when I made the decision about the popcorn, it's fiber, and I knew that was good. I then, talked to Jody about it after the deal was done, and I took my blood sugar because I wanted to know how bad it was. And what was it, Jody? About 11 or something when it's meant to be 6? Oh, it had nearly doubled. And so then I said, okay, what do I need to do now? I need to detox in a hurry. And Jody said, eat cheese. So I went, okay, and I looked to see how much cheese I had, and I didn't remember to buy cheese when I went shopping. Duh. But I did have some, so I had that. And then I had bought some cream cheese, so I had that as well. And I'm pleased to say that by this morning, my blood sugar had balanced out again to about 7.5, which is still a bit higher than I want. But boy, it's a lot better than 11. So what I want you to see is all is unfolding as it should. I did not need to fear. I want to tell you something. There is no way, quite honestly, that I believed that I was going to get full price for my house. Except, and I probably can't find it in a hurry. Just hold on, because maybe I'm. Huh, I just want to see if I can find it. Because I had one other affirmation in my. I can't find it quickly, so never mind. But the other affirmation that I had in my reminders was, I will get a fair price for my home. That comes up like pretty regularly. I think I might have taken it out because I believe I did get a fair price. Hi, Benji. And so you understand the whole thing about the energy, the personal energy levels, was I started off making sure every morning that I build my energy level as best I could. The other thing I found out, which is important suddenly, and I want to mention this, I want you to think about, what do you have on your feet during the day? And the reason I say that is I've noticed that now that I am retired, that I spend a lot of time in my flip-flops. And I've noticed that I have, really been getting a lot of back problems and a lot of hip problems and things like that going on. And so one of the things I decided was, I'm going to start wearing shoes during the day. When I say shoes, shoes with proper support, like my runners, or any other shoes that give my ankles and my feet proper support. I want to tell you, I was amazed. I could feel the difference in the muscles in my legs. And so that's what I'm doing now. And I'd like to just put that out there for all of you to think about. What shoes are you wearing, and do they give your frame enough support? So I'll let you know how that works on my. I'm hoping that I haven't done too much damage. The other thing I wanted to tell you about was, I am aware of, I'm getting older, and so my tendency is to stoop a little. One of the things that I practice doing, and you might want to do it as well, is when I'm in the supermarket doing my shopping, as I take the end of each aisle, I take every aisle when I go shopping because I want to put the steps in. Um, but what I do is, at the beginning of each aisle, I readjust my posture. Does that make sense? I actually stand straighter. I try and put my hips under my shoulders, because what happens is you're inclined to lean over the buggy. All right. So I try to make sure I put my shoulders back under and put them over my hips and put my chins up. And then start going down the aisle again. And it's interesting. I did it, round on each aisle as I went shopping, and I really recommend it. The other thing is, the tendency, because we spend our time on the computer, is to do this. And so really, I want you to please make sure that you spend a lot of time doing the backward roll with your shoulders. So I'm working pretty hard on that stuff now. I need to strengthen my core up a bit. So energy is, and do you get that we have a way of controlling how much stress we take in, and we have a way of controlling what we worry about. All right, that's the serenity prayer. We know that. But so yesterday was an incredible day, and I want to tell you that I I still, I wish you could have seen my face when I saw what the offer was, right? I literally went, "Huh?" But that's what I asked for, you know? And I just, in that moment, I said, I don't believe that. And I went, no, 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 I do believe that. I do believe it. It's fine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But let me read the conditions to make sure this is good. It was really an amazing moment. And so, what I want you all to know is that this took a lot longer than anybody thought. In a market that was absolutely dead. Benji will tell you that he was busy investigating the market as well. The market here was absolutely dead, and I honestly believe the chances of my getting even 50 grand less than that was probably slight, if not impossible. So how's my energy today? So my energy today is a little lighter, but I'm also aware that until all the subjects have been removed, I do not have a deal. All right. So this is like anything in life. Make sure that it's all done before you celebrate. I got the bottle of wine. Benji bought me a bottle of wine back from China. Thank you, Benj. And so I got the bottle of wine. And actually, somewhere packed away, I've got a really good bottle of champagne as well. But so the question that some of you may have now is, what next? Well, we don't have to worry about what next, right? Because until the deal is done, there is no what next. So the question is, when do the subjects have to be removed? And that's by, I think, November the 12th. Whew, that's the next step. In the meantime, I can live my life. I can, do stuff. So our quotes today are about our energy, and we create our energy by understanding that everything happens for a reason. I cannot tell you the number of lessons that I have learned over the course of the last year. It was said that realize that if a door closed, it's because what's behind it wasn't meant for you. All right? If a door closes on you, be thankful. Because, as Kerry found out, right, Kerry, that, she thought her relationship was over. That door closed. But the interesting thing is the door opened up again. You see, it wasn't over. It just was having a readjustment phase. And so, you look at life and you go, some doors are closed and they stay closed, and that's a good thing. We might not see it right now, but it is a good thing. We just have to wait it out. If you have faith, you will understand that better. And how many of you agree that sometimes a mistake can end up being the best decision you ever make? I wonder if any of you can think of one where you made a mistake and then you go, wow, I got to make that mistake again. Oh, I was thinking about that, like, okay, well, to sell my house at the time that I did was a mistake. Well, hello, maybe not. So you get great energy if you understand that everything happens for a reason. That reason causes change. Sometimes the change hurts. Sometimes the change is hard. But in the end, it's all for the best. So if you can take everything that happens to you in your life as a life lesson, right? I really spend much more time going, oh, that's interesting. what do I need to learn now? For those of you who watched yesterday's video about adjust, boy, have I had to learn how to adjust. This whole year has taught me a great more flexibility. I'm not good at it yet, but a great more flexibility. One of the things that amazed me was that my realtor looked me in the eyes yesterday when we were doing, just after the showing, and said, "I cannot believe how calm you are." I said, "What?" He said, we just can't believe how serene you have been through this whole process." I said, "But it's out of my control. There are only certain things that I can control. And that is, how do I survive? How do I survive until it sells was one thing that I needed to get control of. Um, but And then, do I know what I'm gonna do when it sells? Because it will sell. Do you understand? I knew it would sell. It's just a case of when. And how do I, juggle until then? And, the energy level about being serene was interesting, because I said, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Sal, I want to tell you, most people dealing with what you have had to deal, 3 sales collapse on you, um, tonight you are running out of time on another one." He said, "Most people would be absolutely going insane now." I said, "Why? It is what it is, right?" And he said, "Yes, but most people don't think like that." He said, and, I'd already said to him, "You need to send me the documents because I know that the contract's gonna run out, at the beginning of, November." And they had a 6-month contract to sell the house. And, it was so funny because, to me, I'm busy, worrying about their documentation more than my life, but that's who I am. "Life's too precious," it was said, "so have fun. Treasure the memories. Say what you want, do what you want, have no regrets, and remember, everything happens for a reason." When you can really understand that, it's amazing the difference in your life. Benji, I keep thinking about you and, your dream that you verbalized to me when you were 18, and I look at it and go, dreams come true if you work hard enough at it, and by goodness, you have worked hard. And like everything else, it takes time. I had a situation, let me give you another example. I had a situation where, something horrible happened within my website, the DearMamaSal website. And I realized that I've got choices to make. To totally fix the problem is gonna cost me money. Um, but then I thought, "Wait a minute, why did that happen to me? Is there a reason for that?" So what I did, because I think now that everything in life is a lesson, I started to ask myself, why do you have the website? What has the website, brought to your life? And do you want to keep it? And that was an interesting question. And I was thinking of all the hours I'd spent on it and all the hours I'd spent, designing stuff and doing things. And I'm thinking, what? And I'm going, no, no, no. If you let go of the fear, remember that. If you let go of the fear, do you really want to keep it? And it was an interesting question, because it's going to cost money to fix it. And I have to, decide, do I want to spend that money? So you understand, it's a time of readjustment. If I don't have any fear, do I think my world is going to change dramatically if I don't have the website? Probably not. Does it bring me money or whatever, you know what I mean? Um, Not really. So is it about my ego that I have a website, that people visit? But the interesting thing is I do get quite a few people visiting it every day. So there's part of me that goes, it has value because people read it. So that's a decision, I've got a few other decisions this week, but that's a decision I'm going to be making in the coming thing. But do you understand? If I take the fear out of it, now I'm left with the fact I've got a website. Do I want to spend the money to fix it? That's basically what I have to decide. It was said that things are finally starting to calm down and be the way they're supposed to be. I think things happen for a reason. How many of you can feel that, right? Things are finally starting to calm down and be the way they're supposed to be. I don't know. You see, I think that as soon as we think things are the way they're supposed to be, they will start changing again because we'll have new lessons to learn. I definitely can see that all the change and adjustments and um, downsizing and all those things and friendships. And, it's amazing the number of people who have really been here and close and supported me through all of this. Obviously, Benji is one, but my friend Marnie, Yvonne, everybody who has been here to make sure that I stay centered through all of this. It's been an amazing example of what friendship is to me. And, let me not forget all of you, particularly people like Jody and Lauren and Nana and all the people who, keep in touch and genuinely care about me as a person as much as me as a broadcaster. And I really do appreciate that. It's wonderful to have that group of friends. Thank you. Marilyn Monroe said, I believe that everything happens for a reason. People change so that you can learn to let go. Things go wrong so you can appreciate them when they go right. You believe lies so you eventually learn to trust no one but yourself. And sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. How about that? Isn't that beautiful? And for those of you who might have heard of Brian Tracy, um, he's a motivational speaker and used to do a lot on sales and things like that. But he said, success is not a miracle, nor is it a matter of luck. Everything happens for a reason, good or bad, positive or negative. And I talk many times about the fact that, how many of you have heard me talk about the love glue? You know, there are times in your life when you are going to have somebody that's very close to you, a family member or whatever, and you're going to have a disagreement with them, a serious one. And I believe that that is when your energy is really important. That is when your love glue is really important. Have you, I want to demonstrate that because it's important. Really important because it affects the energy from both sides. Let's say that you've known this person for a long time and you've been sort of building and building the blocks of your life together. And suddenly here, there is a disagreement, a major one of some sort. I honestly, that what I do is I check, what happened here? Did I tell the truth? And is this decline because I said something I genuinely believed, but I genuinely believed it to be important? If so, I'm going to take the hit. And if I lose the friendship or the relationship because of it, so be it. I would rather tell the truth than not. All right? That's just who I am. But what I also know is what gives me strength and energy is I know I've got this much love glue built up. That however bad this is, this person that I've argued with is going to know, what do I know about Sal? What I know is she loves me and that she genuinely wants me to be a success. And therefore, she just told the truth here. And it's okay to disagree. Let's move on. All right. And really important. If you have built enough love glue, it gives both of you the energy to be able to see it's okay to disagree. It's not the end of the world to disagree. What it is just an adjustment. Hey, I don't like what you're doing. You're entitled to do it, but I just need you to know I don't like what you're doing. My stuff, not yours. But so, but it gives you energy. You see, understand, all these building blocks give you energy so that you can afford to have the occasional meltdown because there's enough energy built up to survive. We were talking about the 91st Psalm, all right, Psalm 91, all right, that, if you honestly believe that you are protected, if you honestly believe you've got enough love glue, the chances are you probably have. And so what I want you to do is to understand that sometimes we just overreact because our energy is wrong. All right, if we take this again as the energy we'd like to have, and if you spend time building your energy, as I was talking about, if you build your energy in the morning, then if you have a tumble down, it's not too bad, right? You can regroup and build again. Remember the mountain we were showing last week? That you can build and then take a rest place and build, and that's how you climb a mountain. Right? You need to have these resting places. You can't just go all the way straight up. But you need strength and energy to do that. And what gives you that is understanding that everything happens for a reason. And if you remember what we said about plan A and plan B and plan C if necessary, if you have these things set into place, you won't need to worry. When you have to make a decision, remind yourself, first of all, do I have to make a decision? Did I have to make a decision yesterday? No, I could have just let everything go. Right? If it was too much stress, I could have just let it all go, but I wanted to make a decision. It was in my best interest. And so Albert Schweitzer said that eventually all things fall into place. Until then, laugh at the confusion. Live for the moment and know everything happens for a reason. There is part of me that after the deal was done, that it was just like a balloon. When you let go of a balloon and it flies around, flies around the room. There was part of me that felt like that once the deal was all done. But there's part of me that went, I can paint and make a mess again. But then I'm going, not quite yet. After, I just need to be aware that when all the subjects are removed, you can throw as much paint as you like for a while. I knew everything happened for a reason. I wished the reason would hurry up and make itself known. How many of you have been in that place where you're going, isn't that weird? I can feel that there is something going on here and I don't quite understand it. I know Benji's had that happen where, he was striving towards a certain goal and it was like there were roadblocks in the way. And then there was an even bigger one, and it's like, wow, why is this happening? Right? Why is this happening to me when, I thought everything was going along quite nicely? And so you look at it and you go, you just don't know the reason why yet. And pretty certain if you think about it, you've all got your own stories around that. Um, I was thinking what a wonderful job Nyasha has done, for example, with taking control of her mind to deal with what's going on with her mother. And she's done a great job, I thought. And she really does appear to be learning the lessons very quickly. I look at what Beth's been doing and go, wow, isn't that amazing that she really is, living a very different life because she understands this. Jody, I know that your life must have been turned upside down, and so was Lionel's when you got that cancer diagnosis and then had the operation. And then Lionel quitting his job so he could look after you. What a wonderful act of love. Um, so I look at it and go, I'm pretty certain as you look back now, you go, wow, there was a reason for it all. And you learned so many lessons just by learning that you cannot do it all, right? That you really do need to take a step back and just know that it's okay to get help. And then there was that whole time when you decided, okay, well, I'm dying. Well, we're all dying, and you gave up on yourself to some degree. And there's just that little bit of hope, right? That little bit of hope that you had left. And I'm so glad that we found it, because that little bit of hope has grown into, doing leg lifts and losing 100 pounds already, and, just doing such wonderful things. But now I know you've got more scary stuff coming up, right? So the scary stuff now is, um, the, can I talk about that, Jody, just so that people understand? Because I want to talk about the energy around that. Let me know. I'll just carry on with some quotes until I get that response. See, everything happens for a reason and a purpose, and it serves you. Okay, so Jodie's saying, my perspective on life has changed, and yes, the lessons have been learned, and I'm still learning. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, you can talk about it. Okay, so now Jodie's, and Jodie just helped me here because I don't know all the symptoms that created this, but now Jodie needs to go and get some checks done in terms of neurological stuff. Is it MS that they're wondering about, Jodie? Um, but she now, I think it's November the 6th, needs to go and see the neurologist because now they're wondering whether she has some neurological issues going on. Now, I keep thinking, Jody, if that had been told to you a year ago, I'm pretty sure your reaction would be pretty different. All right, so she's got having tremors and spastic legs. Now, for those that don't know what spastic legs are, do you want to put that into different words so that we understand? And it was interesting because you remember that I also have a little bit of tremor going on in my hands. So I find that really interesting. So now Jody needs to go and see a neurologist. Can you understand that it's scary for her? But can you also understand that it just is what it is? And the sooner she finds out, the sooner she can start dealing with it and getting the right medications for it or not. Or the sooner she finds out, look, this may look like this, but quite honestly, my assessment is that it isn't. So it doesn't, just because you're going to see a specialist doesn't mean that there's bad news coming. If you remember, Um, 2 years ago, they thought I had cancer, and I didn't. Or if I did, I got rid of it in a hurry. Just because you're seeing a specialist doesn't mean bad things. It's like, oh, good, I'm going to get it checked out. What happened with my sleep apnea? All right. Um, I'm really glad I went to a specialist. I'm really glad that they confirmed that I was stopping breathing 15 times an hour, and they could give me a machine that would help me not do that. Now, I must admit, every now and then, I've had it happen twice in the last week with the stress. I've woke up choking. Thank goodness. Every time I wake up choking, I struggle to get breath and to breathe properly, but I'm going, thank goodness I woke up. How many of you understand that, it is possible that one day I won't wake up choking? It's just like, I'm so glad I woke up. Now let me try and get my breath back, because I know I have seriously stopped breathing, even though my machine, if it happens a lot more, I probably will be increasing the air. Or what is happening is during the night, my mouth is dropping and I'm cutting off my airflow. All right, so Jody is reporting my legs are having difficulty moving properly when I try to walk. Like the messages from my brain don't travel correctly to my legs. They don't bend the right way and are having involuntary movement. Now, that is a really much more informative description. And I like that better than spastic, because spastic to me doesn't really describe what you're really going through. So thank you, Jody, for telling that truth. All right. So understand that's what's happening to her. Her legs are having difficulty moving properly when she's walking. And she feels like the messages aren't getting to her legs properly. All right. Um, so, Kerry, I'm glad that you're having a productive day. Well done. So when you look at it, Jody, how is your energy level around that now? Are you finding that you're coping with that information better than you used to? Because to me, you have had such progress with your legs. And that's really kind of you. Thanks, Kerry. Kerry's saying, I'm sorry you're struggling so much, Jody. Is there anything I can do to help? I don't hear that she is struggling mentally as much as I hear she is struggling physically, right? So um, it is frustrating, I'm sure. But again, aren't you glad you live in this day and age, Jody, where we have so much technology that may or may not be able to help you? I try and remember that. Life is too short to wake up with regrets, so love the people who treat you right. Forget about those who don't. Believe everything happens for a reason, and if you get a chance, take it. If it changes your life, let it. Nobody said life would be easy. They just promised it would most likely be worth it. So, Kerry, I think about, how many struggles you have had. And yet, when I look back on the must be 6 or 7 years that I've known you, Kerry, when I look at what you have learned over that time, with each of the struggles taught you another lesson. It was like another brick in your incredible um, learning process, right? It was, when I think about how, you know, your mental, I feel like your emotional intelligence when I first met you, and how you cope now is just so different. Jody's saying, I'm coping better, yes. I have more skills now thanks to working with Sal. Thank you. I'm grateful to have the support and friendship and the availability of the specialists that I'm seeing. Yes. I'm in a good place mentally. That's what my feeling of you was. All right. You're in a good place. Your mental intelligence is doing well. Your physical ability is being challenged. But remember, we told the story about Superman, right? Christopher Reeve, right? Who ruled the world as Superman and then in a heartbeat lost use of every part of his body except his head. And from being so incredibly powerful in everything that he did and so in control of everything, the next minute he was totally out of control and needed people to help him with everything. I keep thinking about the mental intelligence that he managed to muster up and to be able to cope with all of that. You know, Kerry is saying, well, first of all, Jody is thanking Kerry for the good thoughts and your kind words, a wonderful support. Yes, they are. Well done, Kerry. You see, every bit helps. And Kerry's saying, I was a broken small child when we first met, and I'm a strong woman now. Yep, it's been about 6 years. Yeah, I think it has. It's amazing. By the way, for those of you who know Oz, he tells me he's coming back to a broadcast soon under his real name. Well, when I say under his real name, he's not going to pretend to be somebody he isn't. He's just going to come in as Oz. So Megan Smith said, just remember everything happens for a reason. We just have to pick ourselves up and look on the bright side of life. You see, I had started to think about the fact, what would be the ideal? You know what I'm like? What would be the ideal situation now? And I must admit, I started thinking about that, and I was going, yeah, I think I'd like some peace and quiet over the Christmas period. Um, just so that I've got time to sort of deal with stuff, and then you know, I'd like to be able to survive until then, and be able to just carry on, and then start again. And it's amazing. I must be careful what you think about, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to happen. Right, Jody's saying I couldn't walk a year ago, and that changed to being able to take more steps every day and strengthen my legs. I'm so proud of you, Jody. You did so well. All right, and Kerry's saying about Oz, how sweet, the amount of times I have cried with laughter and laughed so hard that it hurts because of him. I miss him. We all miss him, and we all are in a different place from those days, Kerry. But Oz will always be Oz. And by the way, he's busy studying. He went back to Australia to go back and do some learning, and that seems to be going really well. And I'll try and get some updates from him for you. Mike Tyson said this, by the way, that God lets everything happen for a reason. It's all a learning process. And you have to go from one level to another. Um, you know, as soon as you've learned this lesson, or you think you have, right, you're going to get challenged with the next one. That's the way life works. So don't think that, oh, that's it. I've learned all my lessons now. I can, no. It's like you've learned life 101, all right, Kerry? When I met you, you were at 101, right? And now you think about how many grades you've passed since then, and the difference in who you are now. And so, I look at it and I think, wow, isn't that amazing? Thank you for the contribution there, Jody. I appreciate it. For those of you who may be watching on the replay, um, there is a button on the website, DearMamaSal.com. If you love the work that we do and would like to help me work on that, just feel free to go there and just give us a contribution. It is really amazing, and I don't think I realized it until I retired. It has, I said to Benji once, it has to, YouTube has to be the most expensive hobby I have ever had. And yet I wouldn't change it for the world, as you know. Clint Black said, I'm one of those people that thinks things happen for a reason and you just have to look for the reason. I actually don't even think you need to look for it. You just need to know. And so anything that happens that gets in your way, it's like, okay, do I want to go around this? Do I want to go over it? Or do I just want to go, no, okay, that's an obstacle I don't even, what I found is that people have said to me, but if the door is closed for a reason, if you find a way of opening the door, i.e., you overcome the obstacle, are you not going in the wrong direction? I don't think you have to worry about that. Okay, that's a drawing moment, I think, because this is my experience. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on this one, but this is my experience. If you're going along your path here and there is an obstacle, and you say, okay, fine, it's too high for me to jump over that, so I'm going to go around it, okay, and then join the path here. If you are not meant to go along this path, you will find more obstacles and more obstacles and more obstacles. And what will happen is your path will keep moving until you found the right road. I hope I made sense with it. All right. So this obstacle might even be there just to reroute you, to reroute you, to reroute you. And this is the path you are meant to be on. And it will still get you, surprisingly enough, it will still get you to your goal. It's just you need to do it a different way with your mentality, with your psyche, with your everything. It's amazing, how there is a different way. I can remember hearing things like, the way that I was doing the sale of my house was not normal, and I'm going, it's okay. It's my sale, it's my house, and I'm going to do it, trying to keep the best integrity I can. Right? That's my right as a human being. I don't have, I that's why I really didn't like it when, all the nickel and diming was happening and it got worse and worse. And I'm going, this deal does not feel right. And it wasn't right. But it was the deal I needed to take at the time. And I'm so glad I did, because I probably would not have got the deal I've got now had I not taken the original deal. I'm happy. Kerry's saying, I've taken time to focus on myself the last couple of days, and life has been amazing the last couple of days. I'm loving 33 so far. Admittedly, I've been 33 for 24 hours, but I'm in an amazing place emotionally and mentally. Right. And I think that is a wonderful place to be. And I'm very, very happy for you. I also, know that life is continuing to bring you lots of lessons, and you will get different lessons from the ones I get, Kerry, and you'll get different lessons from the ones Jody gets, or the ones that Beth gets, or Charlotte gets. I was looking at pictures of Charlotte, and I'm going to be putting some up, but I'm thinking about Charlotte looks completely different from the Charlotte that I first met. She looks happy. She looks, that she's sort of got control of her life. As she's still got ups and downs like everybody, but she's got a whole different mentality. You can see it in her face. Somebody said, I don't want to say that everything happens for a reason, but every day is lined up right next to the other one for a reason. The best you can do each day, the best you can do is to do each day with kindness and as a good person. I'm thinking about that one, and that's what I actually was just talking about, which is I didn't want to do the sale of my house in any disrespectful way. I really did ask for a lot of input from people. Um, when I say input from people, I just, made sure that I kept informed and heard people's input. But the truth was, I knew every decision was mine to make, and that I needed to make it with love and with faith. And it was difficult at times, I don't mind telling you. And Jodi's saying, I learned a great deal from witnessing how Sal navigated the process with the house. That'll be a lifelong lesson. I will keep reflecting on how to stay zen under stress. Thank you so much. So, well, you know, I'm a work in progress, Jody, as you well know. And I don't think, I've got to be quite honest here. I wonder whether it is true that the fact that I do have these moments where I get to be I've always said that Dear Mama Sal is not just about me, it's about all of us supporting one another. And, I do think that sometimes that the reason I've grown the way that I have is because we are part of this group. All right. That I learned from the struggles that Kerry had. Kerry, I want to tell you, I relive some of my past when I hear some of the things you struggle with. Or, Jody, I look at um, the things the love that you and Lionel have, and the amazing things that you accomplish with suddenly very little money, and so many challenges, and yet it is so incredibly strong, and it's wonderful to see. So part of me goes, you lost, the door shut on this area, but boy, did it open up on another one for you. Kristen Stewart, the actress, said, when you're a teenager, a year can be crippling to maneuver through. Some things happen when you're like 13. All of a sudden, you go from being this really confident, no worry little kid to having all these weird insecurities for no reason. I've really got into that habit of when my energy is down, I go, what are you scared of, Sal? What? What are you scared of that you're feeling down? And I'll think about it and I'll go, well, what if let go of the what if monster? What are you left with? Oh, today's pretty good. Well, good. Enjoy it. You don't even know if you're going to wake up tomorrow. So don't worry about that. Plan around as much as you can to make sure you got a plan B and C and D. But the truth is, Sal, you don't even know you're going to make it to Christmas. So don't worry about it. It's just, um, it's like, when you take away the fear, it is pretty amazing. I really recommend it. Melchior Glim said that everything happens for a reason. The daily tragedies and misfortunes are all meaningful events, leading towards an ideal conclusion. With that in mind, there probably isn't really any meaningless misfortune. How about that? There is really, probably isn't really any meaningless misfortune. So when there is misfortune in your life in some way, Jody, I'm thinking about the struggles that your father-in-law is going through and the effect that it's having on Lionel. All right. So I wonder, you know, what is it that Lionel fears? And what is it that you fear that you both can just put it in a box and go, we have no reason to fear. He has a disease that is affecting his memory, that is affecting his ability to cognitively do anything. He has a disease. And so you can love him to bits and be sad that he's angry at you, or be sad that he doesn't remember what you want him to remember, or be sad. But it is a process. There's a reason why they call it the long goodbye. And it doesn't make it easier. But I would really take this whole time, Jody, if you and Lionel can sit down and go, let us take this as a learning lesson. What is it that we are struggling with, that we cannot cope with this as well as we would like? Let me just read what Jody said. The helplessness of being so far away and having zero control over the disease process. Yeah, you want to play God. And remember what we keep saying, Jody. The way to get back into that Zen moment is to stop trying to control it. All right. And remember, just do the things you can do, and that is enough. Right? That is enough, Jody. Um, if the telephone calls that Lionel is making is upsetting Lionel to the degree that it is, then you may want to think about, do you continue to make daily calls? And I'm pretty sure that the answer will be, well, yes, of course, because it's not about us, it's about keeping in contact with my father-in-law, right? And so this is about, you have choices. I know from having talked to many people with this situation going on, some of the best people to talk to, as I said, are the people dealing, the caregivers or whatever, because I can remember when my father was in ICU. It was really interesting how practical the nurses were, right? How practical they were with me. And they taught me a lot, which was, I don't want you to worry about the fact that he is, tied up to 16 machines. Yeah, he's tied up to 16 machines so we can keep him breathing. So don't just ignore those, right? Um, it was really amazing how matter of fact they were, in a most caring way. And, I think you need to have that if you're working in ICU. And they don't see the machines anymore in the same way as that, we might as family. Jody, I look at you and Lionel and know that you are both great givers. And that, Jody, you have learned, a life of controlling your environment until you got told that it wasn't all controllable. So what I want to say is, you know, your lesson, the reason that this is happening now is, remember to let go of what you cannot control. All right? Stop, as you said, the key is to stop trying to control it. The key is to stop trying to see the perfect outcome that is not the way that it's going to be. You see, it is what it is. Your job is to control yourselves. Your job is to do the best you can without controlling an outcome. Jody, my job was just to keep as zen as I could and not control the outcome, right? Even though I desperately wanted to. And I watched two places that I wanted to buy fall away from my life. And, I just kept saying, it is what it is. That's obviously not where I'm meant to be. And I believe strongly that everything is unfolding as it should, and I will find the place where I'm meant to be. The pessimists reason that things just happen, where the optimist believes that things happen for a reason. So if you see that the whole reason that this illness has been brought into your life, maybe Jody, is to teach you that you cannot control everything, with what's going on with you. What you can control is, what you can control. Bless you, Jody. Big hug. Jody says, I forget sometimes the control issue. You've hit the nail on the head. My job is to control what I can and to let go of what I can't control. Yep. And I'm thinking, Jody, that's where your fear is as well. You've always, as have I and lots of other viewers, right? We've always prided ourselves in, we've got a mind, and we use it. And when life brings us signs that maybe the mind is beginning to go, that is pretty scary stuff. But I look at it this way. I think that also is part of the learning. I think it's part of the joy. I have people around me that will still love me even if my mind goes. I hope so. I believe so, actually. Do I have people who will understand that process? Yeah, I've got people who already have family members going through that process. And, I look at it all going, this is all teaching me something. And the something I need to work on is being happy while I can. All right. So, Jody, if I said to you, let's say that, the neurologist finds out that you have got some level of deterioration going on. What if I told you you've got a year left to be able to use your limbs, or a year left to be able to use your hands? What would you want to do in that year? Right? Because the same way as, remember, I said to you, I noticed I was having real problems lifting my left leg into my Jeep. Right? And what I said was, I need to do more work on my hips. I've got a problem going on. All right. Jody's saying, I forget sometimes the control issue. I didn't hit the nail on the head. And then she said, I needed this today on a soul level. Thank you from my heart. It's my pleasure. I I'm sitting here going, I'm glad it's helping. I've always said, if what I do helps one person, it's worth the time. Really. So I'm glad it helped. I do believe that things happen the way they're meant to be. There is a pattern and a shape to everything. Nothing happens without reason, and nothing is impossible. People have always laughed at me because I literally plan B a lot of things in my life. I cannot tell you how many times I have said to myself, um, how would I do Dear Mama Sal if I couldn't see anymore? I ask myself that question. I want to be in a place where I can continue even if I can't see. What would I do for Dear Mama Sal if I can't hear anymore? Well, I'm certainly finding that one out. And what I found is that that it's okay. I can still help even if I can't hear as well as I used to. I can still help. And so, when you live your life that way and concentrate on what can I do and not worry about what you can't do. All right? If you can walk 10 steps, don't worry about the fact you haven't made it to 50 yet. Jody, you remember when I said to you, I need to do something for my hip because I can't lift my left leg anymore. I have to literally pick up my left leg. And now I can do, 100 leg lifts. And, the thing is, can I do 150 this week? Because what we're doing is we're beginning to rebuild those muscles. It's still painful. And so, I'm going to need to take medication to stop it hurting as much. But the truth is, I can now lift my knees, 100 times that I couldn't do a month ago. So that is really good. Jody is reminding me that we haven't done the countdown. um, so let us do that, because the countdown is beginning to get pretty scary. But we're going to let go of the fear and deal with what we can do. So let's work it that way. Hello. Thank you. And of course, I need to turn my head to do this. So if you see me at a funny position. All right, we've got 5 months until Easter. That's a long way away, right? The good news for me is we only have 139 days until spring. Yay. For our romantics, you have 3 months and 2 weeks to work out the greatest Valentine's Day ever in your life. For those of you who need to know, it is just 53 days away from Christmas. And for those of you in the States, it is just 27 days from Thanksgiving. And we will be turning the clocks back. Yay, I get an extra hour. We'll be turning our clocks back on Sunday, which is awesome. It is Nana's birthday tomorrow. Just let me repeat that. And for those of you who have friends and family overseas, get everything in the mail that you can by the 1st of December, at the latest. If you're sending it airmail, by the way, if you're sending it by sea or whatever, it's probably already too late, but never mind, do the best you can. So life is teaching you lessons every day. And when you can see that, when you can see that it is possible to stay in a Zen place, if you continue to go, fear is not helping me, what can I do? What information do I need? What do I need to set up? What can I control? And what can I do about it? I think, we had a wonderful example with Kerry, who, hit a major roadblock in her life. And she stood really pretty strong on what was right for her. But then she also let the door open and, allowed communication so that they could agree to disagree and move on. I think it is a wonderful example of that everything happens for a reason, and that probably their relationship is stronger because of that. And I look at it all and go, my big fear was around, will my car last until this deal goes through? My car is literally having little moments now. All right, like it doesn't want to open the door for me, and I'm going, I know you want to go, but we're not quite ready for that yet. um Soon you can rest, but in the meantime, we still need you to do a few more trips. But it's quite cute because that's how I'm dealing with it now. And it's teaching me great patience, because if I click the clicker enough times, eventually my door will open. Of course, if I just go around to the driver's side and lean over and open the door manually, it also works. So I've been looking at it and laughing at, this is just like, it is what it is. And that little bit of extra money that I've just managed to put into the deal, will make it easier for me to get another car. And now the question is, do you know what you're going to get? No, not yet. Because we're not that far yet. So the energy that we have and we bring to each day, I think affects everything in our day. If you come in a Zen place, and if you can, as far as possible, maintain that. Hi, Kimmy, good to see you. If you can maintain that, then the way, Jody, you made a comment last night that I thought was really interesting. Um, I said, no, when the deal came in, I had to send it back to be rewritten because there was a typographical error in it. That was, made it. I knew what was meant, but the typographical made it unclear for clarity in case of I always think if this went to a law, a judge, is it clear? And the interesting thing was that I picked it up, and even though I think we were running into 1 hour for the deal to be finished or whatever, but I needed to send it back to have that corrected. And I remember Jody saying to me, that is laser focus to be able to read a legal document with 1 hour to go and find a mistake and send it back to be re-edited. And I really do believe, Jody, that the reason I could do that was because I was in the right frame of mind. And I do know that I am in a better frame of mind today than I was 2 years ago in terms of dealing with these sorts of things. I really do. I realize that I am in a much better frame of mind because I'm just dealing with what I can do to the best of my ability. And knowing that the best of my ability may not be to everybody else's ability, that's okay. I just need to do the best I can for myself. And I create my own energy. Jody, we need to add December to our countdown. And we'll have to check with Benji if we're allowed to announce yet what day it is. Um, and if so, for those of you who don't know, December is an awesome get together that we do to raise money for children, and it's coming up really fast. Amazing, really, when you think about it. All right, so your energy is under your control. Think about it. If you and this is, you remember we talk about the aeroplane that's constantly correcting to get where it needs to go. If you think about it, if you have something that brings you mentally down a little bit, then say to yourself, what do I need to do to bring myself up a little bit? Right? Because if we can keep doing this course correction in our brain, we will be able to be more zen. Um, I I literally have found out, and I can tell you it works, that yeah, Kimmy's already getting her Christmas stuff out. That gives you great pleasure. I am going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to start getting my Christmas stuff out. And also, I'm going to start getting, I've got, I think most of my Christmas presents covered now. Um, a few that I'm just going to start creating now. I know what I'm going to give. It's just a case of now I get to create them. So to me, it is really up to us as to how peaceful we are. When we can see that this is not an external thing, it is an internal thing. It is our emotional intelligence that allows us to be peaceful. Jody, I think you gave us the ideal example. If you let go of trying to control the outcome for your father-in-law, and if you can just let it be and know that the people looking after him are doing the best they can. And it was really interesting. I'd like to give an example of a discussion I had with Benji. because I started to get some really interesting input from people that care about me about, well, you know, maybe I should change realtors. Maybe the reason the house wasn't selling was I had the wrong realtor. And, I didn't really like that because, the realtors are my friends. And I knew that this deal was important to them as much as it was important to me. And so, I'm looking at it and I thought, well, maybe I'm misthinking this. And so I spoke to Benji because I know he's been there and done that. And I said, if you were in my position, would you be considering changing your realtor? And he said, why? You've got you've got realtors who've been in the business for 30 years who constantly hit the top, 5% or whatever. Why would you change realtors? And I went, I'm just checking. Just want to double check. Wanted the input. Thank you very much indeed. And it is just like I could let go of the fear that I was, making a wrong decision because I, managed to sort of check that one out with somebody who knew a great deal about it. And I look at it and I go, isn't it amazing um, that really the only person that I wasn't able to cover off in this deal was Yvonne, because she is going to need to move. And yet, if I let go of my need for her to stay and realize maybe the best thing in the world for Yvonne, now that she's in the place that she's in, is to move. She's been here for 22 years, and it's time for a change for her as well. And so, that's what she and I are talking about that. We're seeing the positive of it. And she's beginning to buy things that she will need for her new place, which I think is really interesting because she's now in that mindset. And so, I think, it's wonderful that we can all learn from this and stay very calm. And I am very grateful that Yvonne and Wade have done so much to help me, to keep the garden fairly tidy and sort of do their best with Papa and everything to do the showings as many times. Hopefully, we have just one thing left to do, which will be the inspection, and then they won't be bothered with it anymore. Other than the fact that they will need to move. And I already know, and I have warned Yvonne that if this deal of all the subjects go by the middle of November, that I will, be giving her notice at the end of November. Um, and that's part of the contract, by the way. It's part of the deal that says that I will give Yvonne 2 months' notice. Um, and so, which is, what she has. So she gets notice all of December or November, no, December and January, and then it needs to be gone by the end of January. So, this all is possible to do. Oh, Kimmy's thinking about painting her front room first. What color is it at the moment, Kimmy? And what don't you like about it? That's always a good place to start. Jody, I wanted to tell you that the seascape dried remarkably well. It's a light yellow, okay? And let me tell you my experience, Kimmy, just so that you know. I have always painted my walls a pretty neutral color. This actually probably looks a bit darker than it is. This wall is a beigey color, and the contrast on this wall is darker. But I have found that the more neutral the palette, the cleaner it looks. All right. Now you all love that wall behind me when I broadcast, and that is the only wall in the house that I have not painted in 20 years. It's amazing, isn't it? Because I didn't like it. I thought it was the first wall I would paint over, and now I'm beginning to think how many. And Jody probably knows this. Jody, I'm beginning to think. I wonder if I did my style of painting on a wall, what it would look like. There's part of me that goes, I would love to try that. Yeah, I'll probably do it in a spare bedroom or something until I work out how to do it. But it would be interesting to do that style of painting. And the question is it possible to do it on a vertical? And I'm going, I just have to work that out. I'm pretty sure that it's possible to do a version of it on a vertical, with the cells and everything else. Um, it would look so cool, wouldn't it, Kimmy? But what I'm going to be doing, yeah, I can imagine it, Jody, therefore it's probably possible. And when I think about it, that whole wall that I really disliked when I looked at this house, I didn't think I would, keep it, is that green wall that you've seen behind me for the last 7 years when I've been doing the broadcast with, it's just like everybody loves it. And, I'm going, don't forget that, that that wall has character to it. It has depth. It has whatever. So, Kimmy, one of the things that I would say to you is um, go and see. I would not paint it what I call this year's colors, but I would look at color palettes. For example, when I wanted to repaint my house, I went to go and find. Um, yeah, I started in 2012, Carrie. I don't think, hang on, Kimmy, I'll answer that question in a second. So what I'm saying is I went and had a look. I want to paint it light gray. I painted the suite downstairs, Yvonne's suite, light gray. And it has, by a good quality paint, it has lasted 20 years. I'm not joking. This paint has been on the walls for 20 years. Maybe. I keep remembering Benji coming to help me. I had one section over my staircase that was too high for me to get to, even with my extender things. And came, Benji came to visit, and he played Spider-Man. To this day, I have visions of him doing that. He played Spider-Man. We built this contraption sort of walkway for him. And then he played Spider-Man and painted the upper part of my staircase. It is amazing, isn't it? Great memories. Life is about memories. Don't ever forget that. Enjoy the memories. Build the memories. Do things. Yeah, he is a very good person. But it's so funny because he had he had more time on his hands in those days. He wasn't flying around the world doing his thing. Yeah, you can imagine that. Yeah. And so it really is amazing. I'm pretty sure that today, this is the difference I think in Benji's life. Today he probably would still want to do it, but knows that he doesn't have the time for it, but probably say to me, here's the money, get somebody to do it for me. You know what I mean? That would be his way of still doing it, even though he didn't have the time. He would pray. Yeah, it's so cute. It's like he doesn't have time anymore, but he would. It's easier for him. He still wants to do it in his mind. So let me, let me make it possible. Does that make sense? It makes me cry to think about it. But that's how his life has changed. And I think that we are all so blessed. I really do. I really believe that everything is unfolding as it should. And I believe that more today than I have ever believed it in my life. I have no reason to fear for the future because I may never see the future, and that's not a negative thing. That is reality. That is, let me enjoy today. Let me enjoy this whole process. And the same as I said about, I had no, about selling the house. I had no idea what was going to happen with selling the house. I do know that everything about that deal that I had felt wrong. And I think, Jody, you will remember I said to you when I did that first deal, or this deal that actually completed, 3 deals went down before that. But when I did this one, I said, this doesn't feel right to me in some way. Therefore, I'm not going to hold a whole lot of stock on it because I have a feeling it is not the right deal. And even though I've accepted the offer, I accepted the offer because I needed to, but it still doesn't feel right. And you know something? It wasn't. And the difference is that this deal that I've just done feels a lot better, but is it the right one? We'll find out if it all completes. If it all completes by the middle of November. I don't have to fear. I don't have to worry. It's either going to happen or it isn't. And I hope that in all of this experience that you have all learned a little from it as well. And yes, Kerry, a lot has changed for you in the last 7 years. That would be an understatement. I was saying last week that a lot has changed for me in the last few years as well. But yes, Jody, you're right. I always trusted my instinct from the get-go. I trusted the instinct plus the input that I got. All right. I was never shy about asking for input. I was never shy about asking, or talking about my fears. And because that was the way I was able to let them go. And so, Jody, the fears that you and Lionel have around your father-in-law are all training you ready for the next period of your life, in my view. All right, you're getting so close to learning to just do what you can and stop trying to control what you can't. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try and get better. I look at Beth. Look what Beth does with MS. 27,000 steps in a day. I mean, hello. Well, Kerry, Kerry's saying you've helped me these last 7 years and I'm forever grateful. So thank you. I want to tell you something, Kerry. I think, with all due respect, and I thank you for the kindness, but you have helped yourself. You have kept coming back and you have kept listening. And I know there were times you probably thought about going away, but I think you've kept doing the work. And it is when we continue to do the work, be that on a relationship or when or with learning, if we never stop working on it, we will keep learning. Right? If we never get complacent, if we always go, this is still important to me. I always remember that one thing that Dougie taught me. If you want to know who cares about you, stop contacting people. Wait to see who contacts you. Wait to see who notices that you haven't contacted them for a while. And he did it. And he said he was amazed. I am very pleased that I was the first one to go, hang on a second, I haven't heard from you for a while. That's not like you. And I'm not a high communicator with my friends, right? It's just like, but he said, it was really interesting, who didn't contact him. And I think, I seem to remember Benji did his version of that as well. So you are your own energy. You are your own Zen. You are also, I believe, your own hell. You create your own drama. Kimmy's saying, does Yvonne watch your broadcast? Yeah, I think she does some, but she gets me in person, Kimmy. Does that make sense? Kiri's saying, I've lost friendships and relationships over the years, but I've gained so much more than I could have imagined. Yes, I don't, when you look at it, were they really friendships? Or as one friend of mine called them, were they pretend friends? Or friends that were there to teach you a lesson that you've now learned. Everything has a reason, a season, all right? And sometimes we meet friends and we just spend a little bit of time before they go on their way. And then they go on their way. And some friends we mesh with, and then we take the rest of our lives together. And we will be friends for as long as we both need it or not. And I think that is, when I say both need it, it will have different reasons for being. Not every loss is a bad loss. No, you're right, Kerry. And it was there for a reason, but the season has gone. All right. And if it's meant to continue, it'll come back. I had one friend that, we parted, and then 10 years later came back. And the interesting thing was that exactly the same uh, things started to happen, the same things that made me upset about the friendship to start with started to happen again. And I realized they had not changed at all. And I just let it go. I just didn't do the work that was needed to keep a friendship going. So I wish you all to understand that your energy is really one of the most important things you can conserve. Kerry, I really feel that you understand a lot more about how much of your life was drama because of the people in it that created drama. And, it's like when you refuse to accept people's drama anymore, it helps. Or if you find that, you are getting caught up in drama because of trying to control stuff, then you learn to walk away and go, I'm obviously trying to control this and I need to get out of the way. And it's amazing if you can do that. You won't necessarily lose the friendship. You just don't want to get involved in the drama anymore. And so I wish you that peace. I wish you that peace because when you let go of the drama, you will create more personal energy and you will feel much more relaxed. You know, Jody, I was so grateful to have you there last night and Lauren as well, as all that was going down for me. And it wasn't that I needed you to make decisions or anything else, but I just knew that you were making me smile and laugh and to realize, it was just like, who wants to do a deal that's that big in a couple of hours? You don't even have time to get near a lawyer. You know what I mean? You just need to just do it as best you can and trust that you haven't made a mistake. And also know that if you have made a mistake, that for some reason it is there for a reason and that everything will be fine. Well, Jody's saying it was an honor to be there with you, and I assure you that it was my honor to have you there. Kerry's saying, I'm glad I gave Mike a second chance and cut the ties with my pretend friend, right? He may drive me crazy sometimes, but he's the calm in my storm. Yeah. And you're both teaching each other things, Kerry, and I think that's really important because that's what relationship is all about. And that's why I am so sad to be, severing in some ways my relationship with Yvonne after 20 years, because we have definitely gone through a great relationship in those 20 years. We've both learned a lot and we've both been through hell and back, but we still are there for each other. And I even said to her yesterday, it was funny because just as I was about to do the deal, I quickly wrote to my realtor and said, do not forget these things in Yvonne's place belong to her. And even though they're attached to the wall, they belong to her. I want it covered in the contract. And, it was so funny because I then wrote to Yvonne and said, don't worry, I've covered off this, that, and the other. And she said, I was just going to write and ask you to make sure. And I said, Yvonne, I have your back and your front. We are friends. Right? And so, you look at it and you go, these things are sent to teach us so many things at so many levels. So conserve your energy and use it in a wise way. The way to be peaceful is to be aware that you get to make the choices and that you are in control of you. You just cannot control the rest. And if you're really lucky, you have friends around you that love you and care for you and want the best for you. Even Marnie was writing to me at midnight, close to midnight last night. It was like she'd already done a hard day's work and everything else, but she was in the loop as well. And it was just like so cute that so many people cared so much. Benji was in there. It was just like, wow, aren't I lucky to have so many people that care so much? And, I do know that the reason I stayed calm is because of the incredible friendships I have that are my guiding angels right now. All right. And I know they have my back and they want nothing but the best for me. And they are working so hard. I was so pleased that we did the deal because it's also a better deal for my realtors. Kimmy, what happened? I got a last minute deal at what was it, 7:30 or something last night for the full price on my house. It came in from nowhere. They literally saw the house yesterday, fell in love with it, and on the day that my other deal was collapsing, put in a full price offer. Wow. And they don't even have to sell their property. There is a God. And I'm just saying that the reason that it all unfolds as it should is because we have the right people around us, I think. So thank you all for being there for me. I know you probably think I'm here for you, but you also know that you are here for me, and I appreciate that. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, remember to look after one another. We'll be back tonight, hopefully with a few smiles, and although we'll take it wherever the broadcast goes as usual. For those of you who have been along this journey with the house with me, let's hope I remain in the Zen place when we'll wait for the next step, which is that everything clears on November the 12th, I think it is. And then we will make decisions as to packing up and getting out of here. And oh, did I mention I better find somewhere to go? We'll worry about that when it's time. This is DearMamaSal going, big hugs, everybody. Save your energy. Bye bye for now.